Good morning. You know what it is. First Sky.
Is this thing on?
Check 1 2 1 2.
Me.
First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Hey.
Did you get outside this weekend?
Get
Did you
sun.
move your body? Move your body.
If you didn't, it's time to get up and move your body now.
Hey, get up.
What you know about that get up?
Come on, man.
Young boys don't know nothing about that pull on the end to get up.
How can you not watch Funktropolis for 2-3 years and not learn something?
All things funky.
Hey, the Paradise of Funk, baby.
What'd you say? The Paradise of Funk? Missed that show.
Man, I told you, man. I told you back then. I was really tuned in. Young cat just riding around Omaha listening to funk because of 101.3.
That's what's up.
You did that.
Hey. Well, good morning. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the DS.
Paul Beeee, Buddi3 Da Gawd, all of you chat chimers, ghost listeners, radio listeners, what's happening? It is Monday, April 17th. You already got me in Funktropolis mode already. It's Paul Beeee. Be Funkadopolis, baby. It's going down. Monday, April 17th, 2023. Ain't nothing but a party, baby. Hold on to your guitar.
Hey, you gonna have to get ready. This might be a year that you get to see George twice in possibly his last year.
Ooh. Good thinking.
So, just it's gonna be a funky year, man. And it's the year of the 7. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Be a funky good times going down.
It's 2023. What's 2 + 2 + 3?
Oh, check you out with the mathematics.
Okay. Dropping science.
Good morning, all, one and all. Thanks for joining us here on this fresh edition of First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning, baby.
Man, Beth, shout out to Beth for giving me some props on the mix this morning. 6:30 crew in the house going down over there on the radio channel. You can always check that out at First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha. .com. Hit the listen button and you can check out a 24/7 station of a celebration of black music. You can also tell your Amazon Alexa to play First Sky Omaha Radio, and Alexa will say, "You are now getting down with First Sky Omaha Radio." It's pretty dope.
Hey, it's a good time.
Yep. And you're now getting down with First Sky Omaha in the morning. So yeah, here we are. Good morning to you. Pops already gave me a message this morning. Said he's a little under the weather, so he's not going to make it. So shout out to Pops. Hope you feel a little bit better. But we do have Leah Keister in the house saying marvelous Monday morning to all. She be killing the game with the day sayings. Wanda Lewis says good morning. Mama God gives us a good morning. Good morning to you. Martin Manor. Martin Manor said he did a Boosie in the morning. That's right. Boosie in the morning.
That just kind of came out like that. I don't know. I guess it's a funky good time today, man.
It's always a funky good time around here, man. And you know it, Baba. It's going down. Mama God says you have a radio station now. Wish we did. Well, we always had the digital station. Yeah,
we kind of do.
Yeah. So check out the digital stations. Go to firstskyOmaha.com. Hit the listen button, and it's definitely a vibe over there for sure. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Monday, April 17th. This is News Monday. So lots of things we're going to talk about today. Some running down what's going on, and kind of setting up what we talk about for the week. It's what we do around on Mondays. No special guest this time around. I don't know what happened with. I don't know what's going on with the reader, but we'll get them back on here pretty soon and talk about what's happening. And also, we're working on some new guests coming through from some new partnerships like Nebraska Examiner. That's happening. and also the documenters program. We're going to be regularly speaking to the documenters as well on Monday. Not today, but usually, but it's going to be a Monday event when the documenters come on, tell us what they got going on. So lots of new stuff
Yeah.
coming up, partnerships happening, doubling efforts, tripling efforts to really try to talk about the news that's going on in our neighborhoods. That's what we're here to do now. This show in particular is here to discuss that news, and we can't do that without you. So welcome, chat chimers. Do me a favor, share the show if you're on YouTube or Facebook. Share the show so we can get as many people in the room as possible and have some good discussion. So with that said, buddy, how you feeling this morning?
Man, I'm all right. I'm all right. Had a pretty uneventful weekend. I mean,
Hmm.
kind of thinking over some things you and I, discussed over the weekend. But besides that, just use the weekend to relax, kind of reset. Still on the tail end of my fast, so
Hmm.
trying to remain strong and power through and not get lazy.
Yeah,
Um,
I
as
hear
far
that.
as just my will, you know what I mean.
I hear that.
It's just again, it's all about kind of having that internal battle with yourself. Um, like,
Yeah.
are you gonna do what you tell yourself you're gonna do? Are you gonna be self-disciplined? Are you gonna follow through? Like, and that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the year. Or it can, which
Hmm.
I'm finding out. Like, one day I did slip up and eat something, and it all started with a small decision in the morning, and just having that. Really, I mean, am I going to do this or that? And at the time, it might seem small, but you're like, yeah, I just I'll relax this time. And then by the end of the day, you didn't just completely broke fast.
I told you
Uh,
you can't leave them crackers around. I told you that.
man, those type of small decisions can make or break you. So yeah, man, just long story short, just trying to remain still and remain focused and meditate and just observe fast. I still
That's
got
what's up.
about 4 or 5 more days. So
Okay. More power to you. I kind of believe that self discipline is overrated, but myself,
okay, okay.
I, I go with the passion. I go with the passion, but I can see where it has its place for sure.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, the concept is if you can, block yourself off from eating and some of the things that are, permitted for you, then it should be a little easier to kind of block the things that aren't really permitted for you, and some of the other temptations. But it's really you don't go the whole year without eating. It's
Yeah.
really about learning how to just keep those temptations and keep those passions within a certain bound, within the bounds of righteousness, and not letting your lower self and not letting your body of desires get the best of you. But master
Yeah.
yourself, keep that, keep yourself in control. It's all about self mastery, self governance, self accountability.
Yeah. I feel that. Like I say, I'm on the other end of the spectrum.
It's gonna make it,
I'm
it's
in
gonna
the
make it do
letting.
what it do.
I want black folks to be able to do whatever the heck they want to do and not receive no whole bunch of consequences back like it's been going on.
Man, that's a problem, man. Actually, it's funny you said that because I just had a
And no,
post
we
in
don't
my.
have any stories about the Freaknik show that's
No,
coming up.
no,
That's
no.
not
I
where I'm
don't.
going with that.
Yeah. No. I was just a baby. I was just a baby. I don't know about you, Paul, but I was
Yeah,
just a baby.
I was old enough. I just wasn't with it. Wasn't it wasn't my world.
No, okay.
But the
Yeah.
point is that when I look at stuff like that, that's what I think about. I think about like on the one hand, man, that's a they needed to have some more self control for sure.
Oh yeah. I
Like
mean,
they
that's
need to
to
have some
that
more righteous.
point.
But at the same time, like when you are just held down all the time, and then you get a moment to have some freedom and you go crazy, is it really is it just, can you understand it at the very least?
To
You know what
that
I mean?
point, again, it's funny that whole thing. So to what you're saying, like the whole free. I wasn't even thinking about that, but the fact that you brought it up, the whole story of Freaknik and where it came from, was actually again kids who were at a HBCU or at Morehouse,
Hmm.
Spelman and Clark, where they were at HBCUs, couldn't afford or couldn't really break off to go to spring break like a lot of the wealthier students who went to the PWIs, which stands for predominantly white institutes.
Hmm.
The whatever states and whatever text and all this,
Hmm.
that, and the third. Um, they couldn't do that. They were stuck on campus, so they threw a party in Atlanta and where they were, and it just grew and grew and grew and grew. But to that point, people's passions got the best of them, and I don't know if children are present or listening, but things got out of hand. We'll just say that, and it had to end. So, you know,
Very true.
control yourself.
Very true. But like we can go back in history about all the times that there was crazy, wild, debaucherous parties going on in other cultures.
Oh yeah,
With
but as we're finding out, we
a lot
can't. Hey, as the roots say, never do what they do.
yeah, that's real. That's real. We can't do that. But I tell you, that sometimes I also see it go the other way, where a lot of passion gets stifled. A lot of folks get
Yeah,
stifled
yeah,
because
yeah.
because of the fact that they already have that. We already got this added pressure to hold up the whole race every time we do anything. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? So there's a lot to it, but I
balance.
do admire the self discipline, the self control that you're going for. I do think it definitely has its place. I think there's a little, it's all balance for me. Everything is balance for me. So if I can feel free enough to be me, but also, sit within my own self, my own righteousness, my own desire to, my own conscience,
Hmm.
then I'm living a good life at that point. So that's what I strive for.
There you go. There you go.
Anyway, getting deep already at 7:11 in the morning.
Coffee
Amy,
and philosophy.
coffee and philosophy. That's right. Amy H. Dot said gives us a good morning. That's what's up. Mama God said my second round of eye laser surgery today. I will be scheduled my eye operation to restore vision in my right eye today. So excited about that milestone. That's what's up. Distortion has worsened to the point I wear eye patch 24/7. Wow. Eliminate using right eye at any time. Man, I didn't realize it got that bad. So,
Yeah, man.
sorry to hear that. I'm glad that you going ahead and get that taken care of. I definitely feel. I told you that I went for my first eye exam ever about 2-3 months ago, and they were like, "Yeah, you already got signs of cataracts all around," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, man,
Damn.
that distorted lens really working on you. So, but pretty soon I might have to be on some at least be wearing some glasses at some point. So, man, that's what happens, man. I'm surprised I don't have them yet. Both of my parents wear glasses,
Yeah,
so I'm
man.
surprised that I haven't had to coming up. But I'm on readers and stuff now when I'm trying to check
Mm.
something out. So,
And I mean that's also part of it, with this fast and things like that, man. It's kind of funny. A fast causes you to slow down,
yeah,
and you appreciate things like sight, and, like get it checked, man. Hey, we take
right,
things for granted, but get your sight checked. Go to the dentist. You'll be surprised how
yeah,
much of your full body health is tied to gum health.
right.
As
Very true.
Miss Erica Feld always says, check your health.
There you go. Another thing that's happening out here in Omaha is some of the highest levels of pollen in the air. Uh,
Really?
for that has it's been rising every year and it's pretty high this year. So everybody who's been feeling like I'm feeling, because that affects my vision too. But the sinus and the hay fever and the allergy season right now is heavy, heavy, heavy. Not to mention several parts of Omaha burning and high winds and
I
high
did
pollen.
I did get that I got that warning on my phone about brush fires and things in Nebraska.
Yeah.
I'm still
Yes.
kind of tied in weather wise on my phones and
Yeah,
devices.
yeah, that's what's up. But yeah, that's what's going on here. So if you guys are suffering, let me know if you guys are suffering like I am with the
Mm,
allergies and stuff and what you do for it. Other than that, let us know what else is going on in your life. We'd love to hear that. Thanks for sharing, Mama God, and
yeah.
let us know what's going on with you and what's on your hearts and minds as well as we jump into some of these stories. Buddy, what's kind of on the agenda today before we get this show on the road?
Man, well, that's a perfect segue actually because I did want to ask, what we got into over the weekend. Big shout out to the senators Justin Wayne and Terrell McKinney for stopping by on Friday, and Senator Wayne, reminded us aside from all the happenings, all the whatnots that's going on. Break away, step
Yeah.
outside, get you some fresh air. So it's funny you're talking about the pollen and the lack of fresh air because I was definitely going to ask, did anybody get outside? If I'm not mistaken, there were some Earth Day events that went on around the city
Hmm.
over the weekend, if I'm not mistaken, or is that coming up?
I'm
Uh,
not sure. I didn't hear about Earth Day events. I didn't hear
yeah,
about.
yeah. Please do let us know if I'm on with that one. But yeah, again, did you get outside? What did you do over the weekend? So we'll definitely talk about some of the things that happened over the weekend. Definitely, did you make it to the Street Scholars event? We'll be talking
Mm,
about that coming up throughout the show. Again, we've been talking about that really all last week. If you're not familiar, big shout out to the brothers Chrome Lewis, Leo Lewis, and the whole BAA who was a part of this. Brother Kasim really packed out, man. It looked like a pretty good turnout at the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, the visitor center, as they call it, addressing the streets, addressing the community, boots to the roots, as I like to say.
mhm.
So again, if anyone was able to make it to that, I'd definitely love to hear your take on that situation. Also, if you're familiar with the Omaha 360 events or anything that the Omaha Empowerment Network is doing, they're also are being reported again by this time Channel 7 on the numbers and what they're doing as far as impacting violence in the community. Headline reads, "We don't want to take our foot off the gas. All gas, no brakes," according to OPD and community leaders who again celebrate 134 days without a homicide. So it seems like murders are at least down in the city. But we'll continue to have our conversation about Empowerment Network and exactly what's going on in the community. There are some juxtapositions and some comparisons being made that we want to address. So we'll get into that throughout the show as well. A big shout out to all the chat chimers out there who have been dropping stories in our chat and keeping us on top of things that's going on in your world and just what's on your minds and heart. So continue to do that. Drop that in the chat. Before we get into the show, also, we definitely have to talk about these incarceration rates. Black Nebraskans reportedly incarcerated at a disproportionately high rate compared to white Nebraskans, according to a new study. Paul's favorite word. But yeah,
Studies for stuff we already know.
man, the study. You know what I'm saying? So, what are we going to be? What are we going to do about the study? Excuse me, and what does the study actually mean? You can see the numbers, but what are the numbers saying? So, we'll try to read between the lines as we
Yeah.
do for that and more. Of course, a lot of things going on, a lot to talk about throughout these next 2 hours. So, as always, feel free to drop into the chat. Let your mind be free. Let your voice be heard. Buddi3 Da Gawd, Paul B.
Yo,
First Sky Omaha in the morning.
ain't
Let's
nothing
go.
but a party, baby. Let's do it.
Hey, have a
What up? What up? What up? What up? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
in the morning.
Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, chat chimers, ghost listeners,
Hey,
radio listeners. You know who you are. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, share the show if you're on Facebook and YouTube. We definitely want to get as many voices in as we can to have some very rich conversation about what's going on this news day, which is Monday, April. What is this? The 17th already? Man.
already.
Monday, April the 17th. Thanks for joining us.
About to
Shout
be
out to
summer.
the 630 crew. Once again, if you want to hear the 24/7 radio, digital radio channel that we got going on, go to firstskyOmaha.com, hit the listen button, or ask your Amazon Alexa to play First Sky Omaha Radio and check us out. In the meantime, between time, you know what this is, a big discussion that we'd like to have with you, the chat chimers, and anybody else who wants to come in and have some discussion. And first of all, we want you to be able to tell us what you got on your hearts and mind, and put it in the chat. What'd you do this weekend? What's going on in your life? What do you feel about what's going on in the news? We would love to be able to talk about all these things. Mama God is reminding us it's tax day tomorrow. That's the deadline. Definitely check out tax day. Mama God is also telling us DC has high pollen too. They had a stay at home warning according to my girl. Wow, stay at home for pollen. That's kind of what I did this weekend. I stayed in because it was too many fires, too much smoke, too much wind, too much pollen for my sensitive sinuses. So I sit in the house blowing my nose all weekend long. Gwen Easter gives us a good morning. Tony Johnson 12 says Omaha 360 is just people spinning in circles. I'm glad that you said that and brought that up. We are definitely going to talk about this today because I have some questions. Every time we talk about Empowerment Network, 360, and all these other groups, there's always we always get backlash from people in our community. So and when we talk about leaders and when we talk about our leaders in our community, people call them so-called leaders. People say, what are they actually doing? And I'm starting to get to the point where I need to know. I need to not just platitudes about what it is they're doing or not doing or whatever. Where's the proof that they're not making a difference?
Need some receipts.
I need some receipts on this now. I'm starting to feel like that, and the reason why I bring it up is because on Friends of First Sky Omaha, this was brought up. The Latino leadership in Nebraska looking to the future. I lost my page where we talked about it on Friends of First Sky Omaha right now, but the implication was how come the black community doesn't have something like this, where there's an agenda. We're talking about the leadership. We're talking about plans of attack to better the community, and I'm like, isn't this what Empowerment Networks does every year? With the first of all, they do it every month with the 360 meetings, and they also do it every year with these stuff like this, like the 16th annual State of North Omaha State of African Americans part. They're part 1 and 2. So there's several different days. As you can see, we got people from the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation on this panel. Precious McKesson, Justin Wayne, put some respect on their names. They're in the room with Gene Stother. They're in the room with the chief of police. They're in the room talking about these things. And right now, Buddy just brought up in the headlines that they said they're celebrating a certain amount of money. I mean, a certain amount of time without any murders happening in Omaha. And
100.
Who's to say
134 days.
134 days without a killing? Who's to say that they're not making a difference? So we talk about having Brother Willie Barney, who is head of the Empowerment Network, on. He agreed to come on. We can bring him on. But before we do that, I want to get some conversation in over the course of a few episodes so that we can talk about why is there so much backlash with the Empowerment Network and the Empowerment Network in general. I think that's the main one that I would really like to know about. They can give you details, they give you stats, they give you they tell you about the conversations they have with the chief of police. They talk about the initiatives that they have with the mayor, and are they making a difference? And how come we in the black community don't trust that? I got lots of questions, and this is the kind of show I'm happy that we have this show, because this is the kind of show where people can say, give me some examples, tell me the reason why you feel like you feel, not just what are they doing or whatever. Like, give me some receipts on that. So we're putting it out there to get that conversation started. And Buddy, maybe we can take a look at that article. Just kind of take a look at that article first off and see what they're saying about the fact that there's been 134 days passed now without a homicide. What that means, what are they attributing that to, is what I really would like to find out.
Yeah. And again, I do want to tie this into the Street Scholars situation. Because it's all about how do we view leadership, who do we view as leadership, and I don't want to draw a comparison, but I think it's kind of naturally there, and this is our way of addressing it, and having a conversation bluntly as a community. So again, if anybody frequencies Omaha 360 meetings or went to the Street Scholar meeting or goes to the was it the State of North Omaha addresses, do any of you go to any of these events? Because at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. Regardless of are we going to these events, and are we stepping out? Tony Johnson says all they do is present wrong numbers and take credit for things they have not done. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So
yeah, but I mean, I hear this all the time, but I need the proof.
Right. So let's go ahead and go into what they are saying. What this report is saying. This is from KETV 7. So shout out to Channel 7. They actually are doing some pretty good journalism as of late. So definitely shout out to them. But again, this is from their article. The headline reads, "We don't want to take our foot off the gas. OPD and community leaders celebrate 134 days without a homicide. And again, they are heavily, this article is heavily focused on the Omaha 360 meetings and that whole network of community leaders, elected officials, appointed officials, be it the police chief and some of his other brass, all coming together. Omaha is marking the longest streak, according to this article, without a homicide dating back at least 20 years. And that's as of April 14th. So that's this past Friday. 134 days since a homicide is a milestone. Again, the Omaha police say it needs to be celebrated, but it doesn't come without hard work, according to this article. There's been hesitation to talk about the streak. Maybe it's a superstition. Maybe it's just something OPD thinks about be the norm. But again, they are saying I do a lot of the prayer walks, first responder prayer walks, and so I had somebody call me and ask me if I had took off the email list. And this is according to Bruce Williams, pastor of Hope of Glory Church, which again goes to conversations we've had here on the show about what our church is doing. Again, there are pastors a part of this network as well. Let's see, the Omaha police shared the good news with the group of community advocates, saying their work is just as important as officers. So, again, this is really just kind of them celebrating those numbers. But these events happen, and the question that I posed before this article is: Are we coming to them? Because regardless of what you feel, is or isn't happening, there's a platform, and there's all of these people organized. Are you going? Are you addressing these people? Are you asking questions? Um,
Yeah, let's dive into it. I just wanted to get a little bit of reference to that article there. Maybe we
mhm,
could talk about the street scholars meeting in a minute.
mhm,
Wanda Lewis in the chat says there has been murders in the city. However, the focus is always referring to District 2. It doesn't go beyond that, and it also depends on the race of the victims. Let's not forget about the two bodies that recently found on Rainwood Road in Northeast Omaha.
mm,
Very true, very interesting. They talk about District 2 not having murdered. Nobody in the black community got killed, and this is the celebration. There's murders all around the city, but they only think about District 2. Good point.
mm.
Stuart, Brother Knight says, because most black people understand that if you get approval from the establishment when it concerns black people, you're not really doing anything substantial for black people. Yeah. Well, that's okay. Let me start from here. Um, I just like everybody else in everybody that talks about this stuff in the chat have been very skeptical. As a matter of fact, if you ever heard us call them big suits, that's because we are kind of saying, what's the big suits doing? Like a lot of big suits, people wearing big suits around there talking to the mayor and talking to the police chief, but what's happening? So I'm coming from a place of being skeptical as well, although that keeps me looking and seeing like, all right, well, where's the proof that nothing's happening? And what would happen if they weren't around? What would things be looking like then? Then I've had conversations with Willie Barney, who, like I said, has said that he would come on to the show and talk about these things. And every time I go see, somebody made a comment too. Community attendance, Tony Johnson 12, community attendance at their event tells you
Mm.
you need. Low turnout, only organizations. I've been to some of these events that they have. There's hundreds of people in the room, and maybe they are a lot from organizations, but I also see a lot of people that we say are leaders from the street there too. I see everybody there all the time, from all different walks and all different sides. Maybe Amy H. Dot says it is because there are so many ties to the police and the mayor, and so there's a lack of trust altogether. Yeah, that's where I start from. I start from how much you got to do with the mayor. Are you doing the mayor's bidding? This is kind of what Brother Knight's talking about. How close are you tied into the establishment? And if you are very tied into the establishment, how much are you working for the black community? Because it seems to be at odds to me. At the same time, we're learning some things about like what Brother Justin Wayne and Brother McKinney are doing in the legislature, where they have to work with folks.
That's my question. That's my question. Going back to Amy H. Dot's question, is it because there are so many ties to the police and the mayor? And we y'all watch the show regularly, and if you're new here, we're not afraid to talk about Schmaderer. We're not afraid to, yell out Mean Gene, Illin Pillin. Anybody that's tripping out here, we're gonna say they tripping.
That's real.
But at the end of the day, how do we get anything done?
Right.
Not in
That's, that-
silos.
that's the question. The question to me is that what has been done? I mean, if you go talk to the Empowerment Network, they can give you stats and data and all these things. It's in the chat. Somebody said that they give you the wrong stats, the wrong numbers. Tony Johnson 12 says, notice there are no reports on their programs, just general Omaha data. Okay. I know that data compared to anecdotal data feels different for real. I mean, when we think about what the brothers at the Street Scholars are doing, here's where I come from. I come from sitting at Big Wade's studio, the lab, where Big Wade is like he's like the mayor of the city when it comes to the streets, because everybody who is a rapper will come through that studio at some point. And so you getting word on the street every day. And he says it don't seem like the cats from the Empowerment Network don't come down here and ask us what's going on ever. So I don't know what, and these are the same cats that I think about when I think about Brother Kasim and I think about Brother Leo Lewis, Chrome Lewis. They're boots on the roots, dealing with the youth face to face, one on one. And so when a street scholar meeting happens, I'm thinking, okay, something about to really get done on that level. When this happens, I expect that there's going to be a big turnout. I expect it's going to be the people that are turning out, not the powers that be. And we're talking about some real things to be done, of course. But at the same time, maybe there's dual things happening, because how do you navigate the politics? How do you navigate the money? How do you navigate anything if you don't have representation there?
So I got something for you, because I'm glad you drew that comparison, and I want to go back to the chat really quickly. Brother Tony Johnson says Ricky Smith runs 360. That's all one needs to know.
That's not all I need to know. I need to know more.
You need to. We'll definitely talk to Brother Ricky Smith at some point. But that goes to Chrissy Norris' question. She says, "Who runs 360?" So there you go. Ricky Smith runs 360, and he says, "And you never see them at other people events." So I'm glad you drew the comparison that you drew, Paul. And I do want to go back to what Tony Johnson said earlier about community attendance and who's in the crowd, because that is a comparison that we saw. So I do want to share this with the people. That's cool, Paul.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Sharer.
So this is the room of an Omaha 360 event. Mostly middle-aged, older folk, a lot of, allies, if you will, or just, European attendees.
And that's also the meeting. 360 is also where they speak to Schmaderer on a regular basis.
Right.
And
so,
Mean Gene too.
Exactly. So that's mostly organizations, I would assume.
Right.
And here is the Street Scholars meeting.
Yeah.
The people, children, families. Well, I see a lot of children in the crowd. Looks more like the community.
Right. Brother Knight says another thing is that those who are really doing the work don't get the credit, like Leo and Chrome Lewis. So the credit, where's the credit come from? And what are we talking about?
And this is where I want to bring the comparison full circle, though, because I'm posing the question: where is the community itself? Because you said, where is the landscape? Willie Barney is not a street dude. Willie Barney was never in the Omaha gang. Willie Barney is not going to be at the gang funerals talking to the kids, telling them put down your gun. That's not Willie Barney's. No. That's not Ricky Smith. That's not their place. That's not their role. That's Brother Kasim. That's the role that he's playing. And that's where he came from. Nobody can really have the cachet to do that, the experience to do that, but him.
Chrome Lewis, Leo Lewis.
Exactly. They've been there. So that's the role that they're playing. Brother Willie Barney and the big suits, if you will, they're movers and shakers. Big shout out to Brother Willie Barney, because if I'm not mistaken, he was a part of this whole LB 1024 that we've been talking about.
Big part of 1024, right?
and making that happen. So we can't say they're not doing anything.
I just want to know. Like I like give me the. I actually really just want to know because I get so much from the chat timers, so much from the ghost listeners, so many private messages to me and text messages to me all the time about about how they're the scourge of Omaha. I'm trying to figure out where and why and how and
Right.
where's the receipts. That's all I want. That's all I want. If you tell me they ain't doing nothing but jacking up the black community here, and you can prove that to me, I'm right there with you on it. But at the
And
same, go ahead.
and here's my thing, because regardless of how you feel about what they're doing something as far as the Empowerment Network and Willie Barney, and also obviously we all support what Brother Kasim and Leo Lewis and what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they're also doing it together. Like that State of North Omaha meeting was a platform of all of those people. So you can't say they don't come together. You can't say that they don't go to each other's events, because the State of North Omaha events is a platform of all those people. And I
Well,
don't
yeah.
think that's an Empowerment Network event. I think that's the community organization that's created by Sister Tamika Meese. I think that's her and her organization. They're the ones who organized that, and they're the ones who brought Willie Barney and those and the mayor and the
Preston
police
Love, the
chief.
elders, and the chief, right?
So the elders, elected officials, the streets, everybody's there. I went to the street of North Omaha, the state of North Omaha. You know who wasn't there? A lot of community members, a lot of workers, a lot of people a lot of kids, a lot of families. That's who wasn't there. So that's my question. You know what I mean? That was a perfect opportunity for anybody in the community to come and ask questions if you agreed or not. They were there in the same room to address it and have that conversation as a community. That opportunity was there. And what happened was it was just them.
Yeah, let me jump into the chat. To Tony Johnson's point though, when he says you never see them at other people events, you don't see you. I don't think that there was. I don't know who was at the Street Scholars event, so I can't say whether or not that's true. But most of the time, and we spent a lot of years at Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, Mind and Soul, and when they had events, I really didn't see a whole bunch of, unless it was one of those kinds of events where Empowerment Network was part of making the event happen. But some of the street stuff, some of the gang stuff, I'm only seeing Brother Leo and them there. So that's a point. But at the same time, isn't there a place where you can hold both? Because there is a need for the street scholars, but there's also a need for people who like Justin Wayne and them who are dealing with the politics of this stuff. We need the whole umbrella. We don't need just one solution. So my point is, what is this other side doing? I'm trying to scrutinize what like Empowerment Network and those guys are doing. I'd like to really know what's happening there and get some receipts on that. I want to jump into the chat real quick. Brother Knight says another thing is that those who are really doing the work, okay, yeah, don't get the credit, right? So first of all, before I move on that, who's supposed to give them the credit? Because to me, it's all under one umbrella of like what the media has to say. Empowerment Network and them have a stronger PR and marketing team than the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, Chrome Lewis and them. So what the media is picking up on is the one that's giving them their flowers. But that's why we built First Sky Omaha, because so that we can big up the street scholars, so that we can say they should get the credit for the work that they're doing here. On top of that, so first of all, who are the people that are supposed to be given the credit? Also, Brother Knight says that those two come the streets and probably setting the beefs. Okay, I don't know where that came from. Brother Von Chapman says, good morning to you. Not exactly sure what the Empowerment Network is doing that can't be more attributed to Mother Nature, weather, and the community economic conditions. It appears the ties to the city are all about funding for non-measurable efforts. They're the only ones that come with some numbers. They're the only ones that come with stats. It's been stated that the stats are probably wrong. I mean, in the chat already, they've already said they don't do nothing but bring numbers and bring the wrong numbers. But they're the only ones that's coming with any kind of quantifiable data. We can talk about anecdotal data all we want to. Is the street hot? You know what I'm saying? Do we know anybody who got shot this week? You know what I'm saying? Like we can come with anecdotal with data that we are just gleaning from what we know from around town. But who's coming with the quantifiable data besides? I mean, that's kind of what their whole organization does is run the numbers. So to me, there's a bunch there. Gwen Easter in the chat, good morning, says, I know many churches and people who are praying for our community. God is answering people's prayers. That's why it's down. We need to keep praying. There are organizations and people who are working to better our community that are not recognized and doing the work. Agreed. So first of all, who are they? And can we bring them out of the shadows? Second of all, is the Empowerment Network and those guys overpowering those people? Speaking of the churches and praying, the Empowerment Network is also the organization that, like you said earlier, teams up with the church. That is not so much, street scholars ain't going to do too much with the church. We got a huge church population in the black community in North Omaha, South Omaha, and all parts of Omaha. Who's engaging with the church leaders? Who's engaging with the church leaders? Who's engaging with, who's organizing them to do things? Can they do more? Everybody can do more, but what are they doing now? If that organization didn't exist, or if their collaborations didn't exist, or if their talks with the mayors didn't happen, or if their talks with the police chief didn't happen, what would be happening? How would things look? Tony Johnson 12 says Empowerment Network takes their credit. Okay. Monda Lewis says no boots to the roots for most of these organizations, just reciting data and public information. Candlelight vigils are after the fact. The reason why they focus on District 2 is because they can't get into other districts trying to get funding. Give the funds to the people who are actually doing the work and bypass the facilitators. You guys are saying stuff to me that I've been hearing for the 4, 5 years, 6 years we've been doing this. Okay, but I still don't. Where's the proof that they are just here taking the money and not doing nothing, not giving nothing back? Willie Barney said that they work with three or 400 black organizations and businesses in the area, and even the ARPA funds that they're supposed to get, they have, it's because they have teamed up with so many other black organizations that ARPA money's coming to them if it comes, and then they're going to be able, and then they're facilitating these other businesses with that. Does anybody have a business or an organization that has teamed up with the Empowerment Network that can testify to that? Maybe they're just not here in the chat in our community here, in our family here, but maybe they are, they're just being quiet. Like, let us know. What have you been doing with the Empowerment Network, or how have you benefited from that organization? I need some actual testimonies here. Tony Johnson says, but their network prides themselves on having orgs that do the street work. Yeah, okay, so maybe they're talking out the side of their neck about how much work they're doing in the street, but what are they doing? Miss Erica Fell says, as for credit, look at what happened with Legacy Crossing. Community activists saved the day for tenants, but family services got primary credit in the press. Those who don't get credit. We gave them credit. We're press. We gave them credit. We talked about the heroes of Legacy Crossing, the ones that went and got the trucks and went and got the storage units and helped people move their stuff out and everything else. We talked about that extensively. The mainstream press gave somebody else some credit, but we didn't build this so that we can pay attention to the narrative of the mainstream press all the time. We did it for exactly the opposite reason. Mm-hmm. They're focused on doing, not getting credit. Unfortunately, credit helps raise money to do more good. I mean, in the ideal world, it seems to me, if the big suits can get the money and they can give the money to the boots on the roots people, then we should be having there should be some solutions here.
That's my question. I'm kind of quiet because I'm reading through the chat and I'm trying to sit back and listen to what everybody is having to say, because the chat is going off and I definitely appreciate all the input.
Man, I needed this.
Yeah. This is what this platform is for. So big shout out to everybody listening, ghost listening, and those who are actually participating and inputting in the chat. We appreciate y'all. But that was my question. Why does it seem like all of these things are happening in silos, and why isn't there, even in North Omaha, more? Because like you said, it's only about 50,000 quote unquote black people in North Omaha? Why isn't there more collaboration? And what I'm hearing from the chat is that and again, I would like to see examples. Maybe, we should have more conversation, but um what they're saying is that they recognize that Leo, Chrome Lewis, those with actual boots on the roots are doing the work. And the stats that you're saying the Empowerment Network is showing are just generic stats. Like, yes, it's stats, but it's generic stats. It's nothing that directly says we are doing directly X, Y, and Z, and this is a direct result of said X, Y, and Z. It's just, hey, generic numbers in Omaha are down here, and this is what we did, and we're responsible for that, basically.
Wanda Lewis said, "Let's not confuse curbing crime with good fellowship." Okay.
But again, that's my question. Why isn't there more work? As Tony Johnson says, they never have data for their programs. Again, he says just general Omaha data, which I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
And therefore they take the funds. Maybe an audit. What are they doing with the funds that they're getting?
Wanda says the churches have become political as well and sit on most of these boards. There was somebody else said earlier. A lot of these people have left law enforcement to take positions in some of these organizations. I can't remember. I don't know where that's at. Wanda Lewis says, let's not forget. Oh, that was Wanda Lewis saying that. Let's not forget some police have left the department to take high-paying positions with these organizations. Okay.
I mean, is that necessarily a bad thing?
I mean, that's my question. Everybody knows I got a general distrust of the police, and I'm not really with the whole police system and the police department and policing of people. So yeah, I'm gonna be skeptical anybody who's working with them. But we also got the Kimmerer Snipes that have the, that do the stuff like bring the police to the neighborhood association meetings so they can get to know the neighborhood and stuff like. I mean, there's people that work with the police that I don't question their integrity. Why do we do that with certain groups? And I'm asking genuinely, like I'm genuinely asking this. If you guys can give me examples and proof and everything else of what an area where they sold us out to the mayor or something like that, we're gonna be all up on that. There's no, ain't let nobody slide over nothing. I would like to work with I would like to work with everybody. I think that there's room for working with all organizations some kind of way and holding all these organizations accountable as well.
Right.
We worked at the Malcolm X Memorial Center for years, and there was things that happened over there that they need to be held accountable for too, in big ways. So, I mean, everybody does. Every organization does.
Yeah. And again, where's the money going? Because I would agree that, a part of the real work is breaking up beefs, going to these funerals, boots on the roots, right. talking to these youth.
That takes care of one aspect of the problems that we have in the community. That takes care of the violence with the youth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's the cats over at the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation doing about bringing economic development to the city?
Yeah, but the caveat is like, yes, they're doing the real work, and these are conversations that I've actually had with these brothers. Like, how do you measure that? And somebody has mentioned how do you measure? Yeah, I went to X amount of funerals and stopped X amount of. You don't know how many lives you saved by. You know that this is what needs to be done. So how do you measure that? And if you can't measure it, how do you write and apply for the programming and the funding?
I mean,
because it does has to be quantified. You do need the numbers. You do, wherever you get them, you need numbers.
So like the street scholars, they put boots on the roots, and they're in if there's 2 murders 1 month, and the next month there are none, but there was 2 or 3 street scholar meetings, and the brothers were talking in the streets, talking to the youth and trying to end beefs. That still doesn't mean that they were the result of their efforts meant that now the stats are there was not any murders this month. It just could happen to be that there was no murders this month. But you can generally say the efforts of these brothers that you see that are effective efforts are probably what's slowing this stuff down. That's a stat that you have to give, even when you're dealing with what those brothers are doing. You have to have if you're going to come up with a stat for that, it's kind of the same way you're coming up with stats for everything else. They're giving general Omaha stats. Okay, well, yes. So how else would you say police work is being done a certain way, or some programs that got started helped these things? How do you actually marry that to that? I mean, it is going to be kind of abstract when you're thinking about like how do you quantify? There was 2 murders last month. There's no murders this month, and it was because of what?
Right.
How can you really actually tell that? Well, all you can do is really kind of look at what happened within that time. Well, what happened with that time was Willie Barney talked to the police chief about police brutality that month, and the police disciplined 2 or 3 cops and stopped being, they made some small change based on some agreement that they made, and maybe that stopped the 2 murders this month, or maybe what the street scholars did, or maybe if nobody did nothing, it would have just not been no beef this month. I mean, who knows? But the question I need to know is like, what? So what? How do you qualify what anybody's doing? How do you qualify what we're doing? Are we making any kind of difference?
To that point, Tony Johnson says, imagine them getting money off First Sky results. He says, imagine another media company taking credit for Black media using First Sky efforts. But
how can First Sky get some money for First Sky result? How do I quantify my own results? Because if I did, I'd be asking for some money too. You know what I'm saying? Like, how that's the point is, how can we even quantify what we're doing here? I get people on the street that come and tell me all the time, I love what you're doing. I think what you're doing is great. You're really, really showing people how this legislative thing works. Like, I've never seen this happen before, and all these things. But is it making people go vote? Is it making people go to the legislature and send letters? Are we helping anybody run for anything? Are we stopping any violence with this? We having great discussions, and we coming up with some solutions, and we even stepping into some action on a lot of stuff. But I still couldn't take credit for nothing that's happening over here. Just a general kind of like, at least we're all talking about it.
Right. And that's not to say we don't get a sense or feel like we're making an impact, because we wouldn't keep doing it if we didn't. But what does that really look like? How do you measure that? How do you, we understand what it is, and we can sense it, we can feel it, but how do you measure that?
Justin Wayne and Terrell McKinney are doing something, and you can see it, and you can reap the benefits of it if it goes down. Mm-hmm. You can quantify it. It's actual action.
Right.
We're doing something different.
Yeah, we can look at the numbers and see, who tuned in, how many comments we got, but how do you quantify the impact of each of these comments?
There you go. Von Chapman in the chat says, aside from just talking about what exactly did they do, where is the proof? Thank you. Unless and until they address the reasons for crime, poverty, absent any quantifiable numbers, you have to ask, why are they so intent to claim credit? Well, here's my question on that too. They're called the Empowerment Network, and part of the things that they do is economic development, and they have programs. As a matter of fact, when I first got in town, I was gonna put one of my first businesses through their program in order to connect myself to the Black community, in order to take advantage of the resources and so on. I didn't continue with that business, so I didn't do it. But I remember that being there. They're there to help you grow the economic development of the city. What if they weren't doing that? And do we have any proof that they are doing that? And do we have any proof that they're not doing that? Kimmer Snipes in the chat, good morning to you. She says, I started the county's first COVID-19 task force. I've been in rooms where people stood up and touted that they were the ones. I'm glad I don't do it for the credit. I just be waiting and waiting. Yeah. I hear that. The credit is a big deal out here. I've noticed. I mean, it's probably a big deal everywhere, but I didn't notice credit being such a big deal till I got in town. And I think it is because a lot of people are taking credit for stuff that they're not doing. A lot of people are not getting the credit for the stuff that they are doing, and it's kind of a big deal. I've seen organizations and individuals shut down and shoot themselves in the foot over just trying to get some credit for what it is that they've been doing. I applaud Kimra because Kimra has done so much, and we have her on the show every week, and we talk about her all the time because all the stuff she is doing. We trying to give her props and put respect on her name for all the stuff she's doing all the time, because part of what we're doing here at Sky Omaha is giving people credit for the work that we see them on the boots on the roots doing. Mm-hmm. I'd like to do that for all the organizations. I'd like to do that for everybody if they're doing something positive. Nobody's going to do nothing perfect, but if they're doing something positive, if they're making some kind of a difference, if somebody is hurting the community, then I'm going to call it out. But if somebody's doing something to engage, when we went to that big meeting over there at the Highlander, when they were talking about 1024, and it was the biggest room of people in the black community I've seen since I've been in town. That was Willie Barney standing up there, Willie Hamilton standing up there, Justin Wayne, and Terrell McKinney. And I put some respect on all their names for bringing that thing together and trying to explain to people what 1024 was about and what they can do and what's happening. Mm-hmm. But that was led by them. They worked with the mayor and talked to the mayor and talked to the governor. Brother Justin Wayne just talked about all the meetings the meeting they had with the governor, with the new governor. How you work with people if you don't work with people?
And so, I guess to kind of bring this conversation full circle and wrap it up, because we do have some other news to get into, and then quickly approaching the halfway point of the show.
Yeah, I love Mondays for this very reason.
Man, yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and definitely, again, big shout out to everybody who letting their mind be free, and most importantly, letting their voice be heard on this topic. But what I'm hearing is everybody is saying, and Paul, you just acknowledged it. Like, yes, you agree. Some people are taking credit for work that they're not doing, and some people are not getting credit for work that they are doing. And it sounds like what the chat chimers are saying is the Empowerment Network are the ones taking credit for work that they aren't doing. But your rebuttal is, it looks like they are doing work. It looks like they are putting things together. They are organizing, and it might not be boots on the roots, as far as in the streets and in the, in the kids' faces, but they're doing something. They're doing something.
What is the question?
And what is your proof that they're not doing something?
What is the proof that they're not doing? What is the proof that they are doing something? What's the proof? I get everybody got a bad attitude about them, and we can anecdotally be like, well, they probably working with the police and working with the mayor against us. But I'm just saying, where's the receipts? Tony Johnson said, "First guy chat don't play." That's right. Chat chimers don't play.
Not at all.
Good. Call me out on it. I'm trying to hear it. I'm trying to figure it out. We in the city with these people. Money comes into the city. They got their hands on it sometimes. We got to figure it out. I'm gonna go back. I'm glad you're looking at the chat, because I'm trying to go back in the chat and see myself about what's going on. Miss Wanda Lewis says something. She says, "I'm done. Not going to call anyone out." What you mean, Wanda Lewis? Don't be done. Don't be done yet.
We having a conversation now.
Don't be done yet. Von Chapman says whatever they are doing should be sold to places, Chicago, Detroit, and all of Tennessee. The wizard behind the curtain has done good job gathering media attention, but failed to prove their efforts the exact reason. Referring to the cities that are taking the example, there was a national article that was out there that Omaha might be the example of how to of how to deal with the community that other cities are going to pick up. And we found that funny when it came out, like, oh, okay. what exactly is going on here that other communities think they ought to be adopting in the image of Omaha? I know we was ready for that. I didn't get that quite yet. What are they doing? Well, all we can really do is what we always do, which is invite the organizations on, invite Willie Barney on, ask him the hard questions, talk about it, figure it out, ask for proof, and have several conversations about it. Don't just have them on one time and be like, oh, well, he said it, Like I'm anxious to have a continued conversation here with y'all in the chat, and with these people that we're talking about. What was you shocked about? She says, Kimmer Snipe says, I will say that Willie Barney gave me credit for the COVID-19 task force in the Revive magazine. That his wife does. We talked about media in Omaha. We got the Revive magazine, but we also got the Star newspaper. They both are publications that talk about the positive things that's going on in our neighborhoods and the church scene. Okay. We don't really have any news like, hey, this happened, crime happened, this was happening in politics, so on and so forth. We don't have that yet. First Sky Omaha is trying to build that out. But the media that we do have here is talking about the good things that's happening in the community. That's Revive magazine, that's Omaha Star.
The Boss sometimes.
The Boss, right. 95.7 The Boss. So we haven't set it up yet, but when I talked to Brother Barney, I told him that we were having, that we need to connect what he's doing and what he has to say to our community here, so that because the chat chimers have questions. He was like, yeah, I'll be happy to come on and answer some questions. So we just haven't arranged it yet. And I want to arrange it now, but I also want us to have the room to discuss it first. That's why I wanted to get this started today. It's 8:01 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we're already in the second hour now of First Sky Omaha in the morning. And we as you can see, the chat's going off, and I really appreciate everybody who's joined in. And we're trying to scan and have the discussion as we go. I kind of knew it was going to be like this today because I was going to bring up some things that it's a hot button topic for us, man. Every time we say anything about Willie Barney or Empowerment Network, we get diatribes of comments about what people are dissatisfied about, and it's just about being dissatisfied. And you can beg the question. You could just start right here and just be like, if Omaha looks exactly how it looked 15 years ago, then what difference did anybody make? I'd like to know.
Yeah.
It's still economically depressed. That we still got poverty. 24th Street looks the same. What's changed in 15 years? But again, to be fair, what would things be if there was no efforts? What would things be looking like? We used to talk about who was the brother that was in Juanita Johnson's position before?
Ben Gray.
When Ben Gray was in where Juanita Johnson is now, I heard a lot about people talking about all he didn't do too. But what I do know is that there's a Walmart on Ames, and that was some of his efforts. And there was a bunch of stuff like that I felt like was like the way that things are and the way that things look now had a lot to do with a lot of things that he did, but he still was vilified. Like everybody was like, "What? He just been playing the game this whole time and not doing nothing." I mean, how do you qualify what people are doing? I mean, he could he have single-handedly changed the economic direction of the black community or the community in North and South Omaha? Could he have? Maybe I don't know about all the power that anybody in that position has. Is Miss Juanita Johnson, put some respect on her name, doing it? Wanda Lewis says Empowerment Network owns a large number of those dilapidated properties on 24th Street. What about that? I thought that was Mike Maroney. I thought that was OEDC. I know OEDC and Empowerment Network do things together as well. Maybe they're on one group. Amy H. No dot says, I think that's a great point. Then none of us have made a difference. Could be true. I don't know about that. Just because things look the same doesn't mean, things could be measurably worse if all of our organizations weren't here. Just don't know. Rick Fulton says Freedom of Information Act. Jane Cleave into what Pillin and Geist discussions were about before Pillin replaced Geist with a family friend in the unicameral. They have not been. Yeah, that's a different subject. But they have not been quiet about what they. It's not like they were hiding what they were doing and saying about that. Miss Erica Phil says that Walmart will close soon. That's their urban model. Come in, get tax credits, then close due to theft and write off all the money, putting hundreds out of with currently closing across the country.
I think that might also have something to do with the economy itself. But yeah, I mean, Walmart has been historically known to kind of economically, just impact negatively the communities that they come in. Also, in regards to Ben Gray, Mr. Stewart says, oftentimes Ben Gray ran off black businesses to entreat white investment. I've seen that personally.
Okay, there you go. There's some testimony right there. There you go. So, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for the proof, the receipts, the testimony. Tell me what's actually happening here. What's actually going on?
Yeah, I mean, I will also say, I've heard some stories about, Ben Gray setting up situations with some brothers who do have some boots on the roots, if you catch my drift, and using that for a photo op and some other, clout. And then when it came time to really break off some funds or to actually give credit and handle it how it's supposed to be handled, that wasn't the case.
Although I will say that a lot of the organizations that say they need money to do what they were doing were organizations that weren't ready to be able to handle any money to do anything. So that's the other part of that. Where's your business plan at? Where's your infrastructure at? You can't just expect somebody to give you money when it's looking like you're just gonna blow it. That's happened too with boots on the roots people.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the issue with the grassroots, because like somebody said earlier, you just so worried about doing that you're not worried about the credit or the funding. Like that can backfire. Yeah. We're definitely testimonies to that, as far as what we're doing here with First Sky, because it's so easy for us to just keep getting up and keeping our head down, grinding, doing, and not really looking up and like, okay, we're a business at the end of the day. So, how do we begin to answer that question? How do we look at the other things?
They evaluated us as $0 when we asked for ARPA funds because obviously we weren't ready to be able. If they gave us a bunch of money, we wouldn't be set up to handle that money yet. I applaud everybody that's going out there and working with people to get that money, but I also got to hold the small organizations accountable too, to be able to get ready to be able to receive some of that money. I don't believe that money wouldn't come to us if we wasn't ready. Yeah. If we were ready, I believe that we would be working with a lot of these organizations to receive those funds to do more things. It does seem backwards. It does seem a little bit like, man, it's too bad that Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, for instance, or BAA, for instance, is not getting more dollars from. But I mean, not that BAA ain't even asking for no dollars.
No, that's not a part of their model.
Part of their model, but they're also not there to build economic development in the whole city. They're here to build ownership with the black community here in the city.
Yeah, for a portion.
They have a different agenda,
which is needed.
Right. Let's take a quick break, man. Smell the coffee beans. I know Buddy's probably going to read some more comments while we on this little break, but we'll take one.
Man, comments are going off, man. Big shout out to y'all, man. Shout out.
I appreciate you for digging into it for sure. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Again, you're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, chat chimers, ghost listeners. Ghost listeners, go ahead and chime up. I know you're sitting in there itching to say something. Come on. We'll be right back, y'all. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. You're listening to First Sky
Hey,
Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
in the morning.
All B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, chat chimers going off. Ghost listeners, radio listeners,
Man,
what's happening? What say you on these subjects? It is 8:11 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we really appreciate everybody who's jumping into the chat. I can't wait to go back and read this. If you missed any parts of this show, you can go back and watch this show in its entirety on Facebook or YouTube, First Sky Omaha. Check it out. And when you do, please read the chat.
man.
Excuse me, because that's where the chat really is going down. That's what's up. So, Buddy, anything that stood out in your mind when you went through the chat right now?
Yeah. I mean, of course, a lot. People kind of mentioning the Walmart thing. Brother Von Chapman says Big Gray had actually nothing to do with Walmart coming to that area. It was planned months prior. Ben Gray was responsible for North Omaha losing its autonomy to the Buffetts, to include the land bank. Oh, geez. Again, I would like to see some more proof.
I do remember Ben Gray taking credit for the land bank too.
Well, I mean, he was a part of it. Yeah, he was the city council person who was a part of its creation. If I'm not mistaken. They just closed the 7 urban areas last month, putting 600 employees out of work. Talking about Walmart still at that store after running black grocery and small stores out of business every time they build, which does remind me that we're talking about businesses coming back to North Omaha. One of the businesses that I remember was the meat market that used to be on 30th, right off of 30th and Ames. Kind of, I believe it's a Family Dollar there now.
How long ago was that?
It closed not too long after Walmart came.
Meat market, I didn't know that.
Yeah. My grandma used to always go there for her liver.
Interesting.
So that is very interesting as far as just what it means to bring a Walmart to the community, and even Ben Gray taking credit for that, and whether he did or not, just what it means to bring a Walmart to the community.
Well, at the time it was because this is a food desert and there was no close grocery store other than Baker's on 72nd. But places like Chubby's and Phil's Foodway, they didn't shut down when that Walmart happened. They're still there.
No, we lost some markets when Walmart came.
But yeah, that was community markets, right? I didn't realize that how many things closed down because of that. But yeah, that's in general. I mean, we've been talking about Walmart's coming to town and shutting down mom and pops for 15 years now. That happens everywhere.
Man, people talking about the store. That woman says, "Yep," and they closed shortly after Walmart. I used to go there. Mr. Stewart says that store closed not long after that lady got killed in the store. Also, that woman says the meat store used to give credit and cash checks. They were a community store.
Wow.
So yeah. I mean, and that's the feeling that I remember about North Omaha. And that's kind of the North Omaha that we all hold to. The small mom and pop community stores and things like that. And yeah, we want to step into the modern age, and we want conveniences like major chains and things like that, but not at the expense. And it seems like what people are saying is kind of Ben Gray didn't really care about that. But I want to advance the conversation because one elder that we do put some respect on, and we definitely do enjoy every time he speaks up, is Brother Preston Love Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And we do acknowledge that he's definitely doing the work as far as Black Votes Matter and just the efforts that he's trying to do to get people civically engaged. But he actually is also a columnist with the Omaha World Herald, and he's reminding us of something else that I want to again use to further this conversation, because this is an internal conversation that we're having. This is about people from the community. Exactly. This is a family conversation. It's about people from the community, and we're trying to figure out who in the family is really doing the work, who deserves the credit, who's what's what in the family. But we need to get that under control and get that figured out ASAP, because there is a war outside. And that is exactly what Brother Preston Love Jr. is reminding us of, saying that the moments and the happenings, the column reads, "Deja vu all over again." He says, as this country approaches the 1960s, we African Americans again were faced with a country divided. divided between racism and anti-racism, between women's rights and disregarded, between discriminatory and racist housing practices, and intentional education gaps, a return to Jim Crow practices as it related to voting rights, equal rights, and justice in every aspect of our lives, sounding very, very familiar. Further down, it says, unfortunately, it is my developed and earned wisdom that our country has returned to that state that we were morally, politically, and ideologically in the 1860s and 1960s. Deja vu all over again. As this country faces 2023, we are rapidly returning to the former days of the worst America for African Americans. Not the good old days, not the glory days, but the bad days. Lynching has been replaced by rogue police killings. And actually, a side note, lynching has found its way back on legislative floors as a possible means of capital punishment. So again, deja vu for sure. The undiagnosed mental health in our country and that had a generation random acts of violence has been replaced by undiagnosed mental issues of today, producing the rash of mass shooting events. The need for guns for hunting and wars of the past has been replaced by the undisciplined use of assault weapons to kill each other. So again, 2024 is coming. There's a war outside, and we can't really afford infighting. We can't really afford confusion. We can't really afford, what's what, not knowing what's what. So that's where we are.
Appreciate that. Shout out to Brother Preston Love, put some respect on his name. Elder in our community that we can all agree he's doing some good work. Again, one person or one organization can't carry all the issues and all the problems that there is. There's multiple reasons for things being like they are. But at the same time, I think like being held accountable is important. Figuring out what has been done and what more can be done, and then searching out the people that are doing the actual sabotaging of it is really well. I'd like to get to that part. Who's like, are there really people out here sabotaging the progress?
Yeah,
with the organizations. So there has to be.
Yeah, but to that point, even if Willie Barney and whoever else is taking the credit for work that they're not doing, is that really sabotaging anything? Is that really stopping any progress?
Here's one thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's the thought.
Wanda Lewis said something that got me thinking. She said, "Keep in mind, the Empowerment Network works closely with the city and mayor. So why would they put tenants out of Legacy Crossing? Not have a plan in place for these people? Then when other organizations step up to help the tenants, then they want credit for it. Make it make sense." I like that you're bringing up this one particular this thing with the Legacy Crossing in general, because every time we report on any kind of stories like that, it makes me think, why wasn't there anything in place here? Now, would we expect that the Empowerment Network would be the organization to put things in place to be able to help tenants before they, help tenants that are getting evicted that way? Is the Empowerment Network work with the mayor, therefore making the plan to help people in a situation like Legacy Crossing? And yes, did they come back and try to take credit for whatever happened there? Because all I remember talking about was all the on the ground heroes and who rented the trucks and so on and so forth. That's all we talked about.
The individuals, not organizations.
We didn't even look and see what organizations were doing what, or what happened with the people after they had to move out of that place, or if any organizations helped them afterwards. We were just talking about the boots on the roots people.
The community. Like, hey, it was really anybody out there got a truck was the conversation.
Right. So it'd be good to know what happened after that. It'd be good to know if there was anything that they did do. Maybe they did something we don't know. I'd like to know. I need the receipts.
That's really the questions that we're trying to ask. Tony Johnson, why is the community not supporting them? Why are leaders working solo? That is elephant in the room. That's really ultimately, what we've been trying to figure out and get to the bottom of over the last hour. Yeah. And what I'm adding to that is, we need to figure these things out, about who to support and how to make this teamwork, make the dream work. Because again, there's a war outside, not just the deja vu that we all been feeling and, Brother Preston Love Jr. is talking about, but also, the real numbers. Again, it's being reported. We're talking about numbers. Black Nebraskans incarcerated at a disproportionately high rate compared to white Nebraskans. So again, There's a war outside, and there is a place for us.
That's real. Tony Johnson said Preston Love knows history, but rarely talks about what went wrong by black community and what to do. I don't know. I think Preston has some. He definitely has some plans. I don't hear him talk too much about what went wrong, but I hear him talk about what we can do now to make some kind of a difference, and really only in certain areas, not in all areas, but certain areas. I don't think there's one organization.
He has a focus. I mean, to your point,
a focus, right?
Right, and what Brother Tony Johnson says, that is the problem. Too little people trying to do too much.
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to my question. Where's the, they, regardless of what you feel like they're doing or what impact you feel like they're having or what you feel like they should or shouldn't be taking credit for, they're doing something that you can even make a comment about and have an opinion about in the first place.
Right.
If, you know what I'm saying? So what else can be done? Because they can't do it all. So, that's really my point, is why aren't more people supporting them?
Brother Knight is talking about sabotage. He said, yeah, that's sabotage, but it may be necessary for if those small groups doing the work get shine, the establishment may crush it. Well, could be. Also, Rhonda Lewis says, now they want a big box grocery store downtown. North Omaha has been a food desert for a long time and has been no consideration. They keep bypassing the needs of and catering to the wants of the developers in their areas of focus. And then you're talking about Empowerment Network and those kinds of groups. They're responsible for that. I don't. It's because I'm still talking about these organizations. What are they doing? Are they advocating for a big box grocery store downtown? I did hear that crazy whack ass article about how downtown was a food desert. Did you see?
I didn't call wind of that.
I didn't put it up, but they had a whole campaign on that, man. So I guess that's why the big box place is going downtown. But yeah, it cracked me up when I saw the headlines about downtown being a food desert. I'm like, Wanda Lewis said, but what are they doing? I hear Von Chapman says, after 15, 20 years, why hasn't the economy of North Omaha improved based on the efforts of Willie Barney over the same time frame?
But that's how much of an impact is it fair to expect Willie Barney and the Empowerment Network to make to the economy?
Furthermore, if they weren't doing what they were doing, how much worse would it be? I don't have the answer to these questions. I'm trying to find out.
Like, I hear what you're saying, but also, like, is it that simple? Is it that black and white? Is it that cut and dry?
What I see is that everybody has these focuses, and there's nobody getting all the focuses together to attack all of the problems.
Yeah, that's where I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
There could be some collaboration, cross collaboration, holding each group accountable, and so on and so forth. That we can see the big picture, that maybe all this is needed, and just figure out how to tie it together and stop all this. Who gets the credit? Then maybe we can look at it like that. We need, from A to Z, we need people who are representing us on the political spectrum. We need people who are representing us on the streets. We need people representing all the people in the middle, the homeowners, the businesses, the apartment dwellers. We need people that are representing the whole spectrum. We need representation for the whole spectrum. We need money, resources, and collaboration with everybody along the whole spectrum. If I got a problem with some young kids banging by my house, I'm gonna go talk to Chrome and Leo. If I need the city to bring in millions of dollars to my community so we can have some economic development, I'm gonna hit up Justin Wayne and Terrell McKinney. Everybody has a different focus. So can we get on the same page about what everybody's focusing on? Because maybe they're necessary. Maybe there is something maybe they are. Brother, I think it's there's somebody who's always talking about how Mike Maroney saving North Omaha by owning all these properties, and because he's black, they're black owned, and he's keeping them black owned by not selling them to the powers that be. Other people feel he needs to come up off some of these properties and let other black organizations have them, use them, and
share the wealth
and not just sitting around being dilapidated. Share the wealth.
And I guess that's what it seems like Tony Johnson is saying in the chat. It says people are advocating. It says people are advocating, but empowerment discourages them by bullying people to be a part of their group. Empowerment Network chooses to not collaborate, then takes ideas to do for self, which I can say, to be honest, is something that I've seen in Omaha in many different levels and forms, as far as people not working together. People, just, hey, I'm gonna do my thing over here, and my thing is actually your thing.
Right.
My thing is the thing that you've been doing, but I'm gonna just do that over here rather than work with you.
That's been in the white community for us, though. That ain't been in the black community quite yet, has it? Some of it, I guess. Some of it. Example. I'm trying to think about the examples that you're thinking in your head right now without saying it.
You just ask yourself that question, Paul. In your 10 years of dealings.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, the whole. Thank you, Von Chapman. He says when Buddy says teamwork makes a dream work, won't work. When Buddy says teamwork makes a dream work, you can't tell us who's on what team.
Yeah. There you go. Empowerment Network, Tony Johnson 12 said, Empowerment Network chooses to not collaborate, then takes ideas to do for self. In our experience, my experience and First Sky Omaha's experience, Willie Barney has come to us and has been trying to collaborate with us ever since the Mine and Soul days. And even the most recent conversation with him is him trying to collaborate with us, him understanding that black media is super important. As a matter of fact, they put something together where they were going to pay a bunch of black media to promote a thing. They were even progressive enough to be giving black influencers like Felicia Webster money to do things.
So that's the other side of it, because Tony Johnson is saying Empowerment Network will not do that when they feel that money coming to them will go to others. But as Paul just mentioned, we have personal experience where they did collaborate with us, and we did work together for about what we were doing as far as Mine and Soul, Leo Lewis,
Malcolm X
Memorial Foundation, them working with us, getting some of the people on our staff, as you said, Felicia Webster, I think a couple other people that were part of, doing shows and volunteering at the station got cut checks.
Yeah, we got a check in Mine and Soul to advertise a campaign. So did 95.7 The Boss. Matter of fact, William King was mad when he found out that money was going to influencers, because he was like, "We're a whole radio station. Why are we getting the same money these influencers are getting?" And it was individuals out there that was going to be throwing events and stuff like that, like Felicia Webster and them. So, that was kind of, we have experience, and like I said, even the most recent conversation is we still believe that what you guys are doing is good. Black media is good. There's ways that we can they were even talking about helping us if they do get the ARPA funds. We being one of the organizations they want to give some of their ARPA funds to when they get it, because they have several different organizations that they work with, black organizations that they work with, that they're breaking off. They're like, that's the model. The model is we don't just take all the money. The model is we're getting money for a bunch of other people that aren't out here ready, trying to get the money. Mm-hmm. Personal testimony on that. And from day one, I've been looking like this the whole time, side eyeing, like, okay, but not yet has it been a situation where there hasn't been any collaboration with us
or any real red flags personally.
Tony Johnson 12 said Empowerment Network we already said that. Terry Crawford gives us a good morning, First Sky fam. Good morning to you, Ms. Crawford. She said, let me say this. There is an invisible exclusionary model at work that serves as a gatekeeper if you are unwilling to bow down and kiss the ring. Out of the abundance of respect for my community I love, I won't bust people put out. Excuse me. Because we don't have that luxury. Excuse me.
Okay.
I can see some of that too. Now, because I'm not involved in the church community, I feel a little bit of exclusionary situation going on there with that part. And we do know that Empowerment Network is connected to the church community very strongly as well. So I do, yeah. There is a feeling of an exclusionary situation happening.
So that goes back to what I've been saying as far as, looking at the COVID funds and how it was handled.
Mm-hmm.
And how basically the state got the federal government sent the funds to the state sent the funds, I believe, to the city, or state, city, and county all got their own allotment of funds. And the funds that were directed, meant for the Omaha community, for the community, for the people, it was diverted through the channel through an Empowerment Network-esque channel. I think it was actually diverted through the Empowerment Network as far as nonprofit organizations and churches, most of which are a part of the Empowerment Network. Now, I've been vocal about the downfall of that whole process and that whole mentality for people who aren't a part of that. I can't necessarily fully fault the Empowerment Network for that, because that's the network that they built. Again, Willie Barney is who he is. I mean, it makes sense that he's dealing with church people. Like he's not, dealing with the streets. Let's just call it what it is. He's not in the streets like that.
Right.
But how is that really his fault? Is that on purpose? Do we, how do we connect that gap?
Right. That's the question. I'm going to address Tony Johnson 12 says, so First Sky Omaha getting paid to cover their meetings and events? No, that's not what the collaboration was for. Y'all struggle to get updates from them and you think they're cutting you a check? Come on, Paul. They've cut us a check already, bro. And it wasn't because we covered their meetings. It's because they had a campaign that we agreed with. And
yeah, I think
go ahead and put a commercial out on our channel at Mind and Soul with it. I've never got any impression that they wouldn't do what they are trying to agree to do with us. And they've approached us several times about it. They've included us on the Black media calls in the editorials. We stopped going to those meetings. We were just on something else. Yeah, I don't have no doubt that if we made a deal with them, first of all, it'd be on our terms. Whatever it is that we have to offer here, it'd be on our terms. I mean, when they have meetings and stuff like that, we put it in the HAPs now.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the state of North Omaha meetings and Omaha 360.
Von Chapman says, granted, the Empowerment Network knows how to get funding, but has the funding permanently fixed anything or even come close? I mean looking. That's kind of the question, though. That's
But that question could be extended to the whole nonprofit. Shout out to Amy H. She's mentioned this in the meeting that we had. Amy H. No Dot. She's mentioned this in the meeting. We talked about Omaha just in general being a nonprofit haven, but the whole point of a nonprofit it's supposed to eventually work itself out of existence. It is supposed to permanently, but that's just the whole name of the game in Omaha around just across the board is to try to do community work and get funding for it.
Yeah.
That's across the board. But is that wrong? Would you do more community work if you could get paid for it?
Yeah. As we wrap up the show and go to our full-time jobs, it would be great if we would do way more community work if that paid our salaries. Tony Johnson also said only because it only because it looks good on paper, Paul. I bet money going to go to the new show with Tim Clark and Michael Scott. Michael Scott deal is coming from Omaha Magazine. So that's Michael Scott's money to do his new show is coming from Omaha Magazine. I don't know what kind of relationship he has with them. I know that when I hired him to be the lead anchor on Mind and Soul morning show, he was not connected to the Empowerment Network at all. Talked about Willie Barney and them bad too, just like everybody else does. Don't know if they have a relationship with them at all. All I do know is talking to Michael Scott. Michael Scott told me that he got money from Omaha Magazine in order to put this show together. Tony Johnson says the biggest Salem is it should be operating as an extended hour community center. I agree.
Is it not?
Kimmer Snipes says I believe Willie Barney is the actual minister as well. Wanda Lewis says Empowerment Network will acquire, then eventually transfer to their private sector. Okay. They will never acquire us, and neither will anybody else. I can tell you that. Whatever work we do with them is and anybody else is on our terms. Always has been, always will be. Yeah, who owns Omaha Magazine? That's a good question. I think it's
a family-owned business. It's Omaha Publications, owned by Todd Lemke and his family. I used to work at the Omaha Magazine, and it's a family-owned business. Mom's working there. Brother used to work in there. Rest in peace. Yeah,
they got 6-7 magazines, a whole media network.
Yeah, but it's just a family-owned business.
Pretty much stole Buddy's idea.
We're not gonna go there, but that's the thing, man.
We were talking about it earlier. You were like, people who will come in and be like, "Yeah, nah, your idea is good. We're not gonna do it right now," and then go do it, and then take your idea and go do it. That happened over there. So
yeah,
that's what I was asking you. I said, in the white community or the black community that happened? Because
but who did they replace me with?
Who did they replace you with?
Do we really gotta say it? I mean, Michael Scott. I mean, that was my idea. I tried to bring that type of show to Omaha Magazine like 6-7 years ago.
I didn't realize that they're doing the exact thing that you suggested they do with Michael Scott now. I didn't realize that.
We're talking about interviewing people on video. That was the basic idea, was bringing video to Omaha Magazine with interviews with, similar type of content. But the thing is, I'm not mad at Omaha Magazine or Michael Scott, because I'm much happier doing what I'm doing right now from my home in Atlanta. Yeah, I'm cool, and I'm proud that Michael Scott has a platform.
Yeah, we the more the merrier, bro. We need more black media, period, no matter who's on here.
Exactly. And I'm not Michael Scott, and Michael Scott is not me, to the same extent that Willie Barney is not Kasim, and Kasim ain't Willie Barney. How can we all work together? The more the merrier.
With that. That woman is asking, how long ago did you ask Willie Barney or someone from the Empowerment Network to be on the show? I had a conversation with Willie Barney 2 weeks ago. This is when he agreed that he would come on the show and talk about anything we wanted to talk about here. I informed him that I'm always everybody's always wondering what the Empowerment Network is doing, and there's some questions that are coming up that need some answers. He said he'd be happy to come on several times to answer these questions. So I just haven't arranged it with him yet. But that was in a conversation that was happening because of us being in this discussion with Justin Wayne and Terrell McKinney, Senator Wayne and Senator McKinney, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And put some respect on their names, and talking about how the situation with these ARPA funds, because Willie Barney was also trying to do some of the work that we were doing with trying to explain the process, because there was so much backlash in the black community about the people who didn't get suggested for money, and so they were extending their efforts to try to break that down, and also to figure out how they can work with everybody else again. There's been several conversations about how they can work with us. This time around, they got approved. They got suggested for some money, and they're talking about giving us some of their money on top of working with the senators to get more money into North Omaha to do more things with the black media. Mm-hmm. They're trying to help us put it together. Get with William King. Get with T.D. Sanders. Get with Omaha Star. Get with all these people so we can have a big black media conglomerate. Willie Barney has been thinking big like that since the Mine and Soul days.
Right.
With as far as my experience is concerned.
And man, I'm sorry, I'm in the chat. Like big shout out to the chat again. Mr. Stewart is saying if they think you're too black, they will reject the idea coming from you and get somebody more palatable to do your idea, which I agree. But again, they ain't stopping. They're not stopping anything that I'm doing.
I mean,
that didn't stop me.
We blackity black with this.
Exactly. So. And also at the same point, try to tell Michael Scott that he's not black.
Man.
So I'm not into quantifying other people's quote unquote blackness, But to go to what Von Chapman is saying, he asks, Buddy, can Black Democrats and Black Republicans be on the same team? And that's what this whole conversation is really what I'm getting at, because they better figure out how to, because at the end of the day, it's not the Democrat or the Republican, it's the first word. They're all quote unquote black. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you better not fool yourself in thinking that makes a difference.
Come on, man.
So again, at the end of the day, we got to figure all of this out, because there's a war outside, and the elders are telling us what's coming. Preston Love Jr.
We doing the research and talking about what's coming. We talk about it every day. I mean, every other day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We actually talk about it every day, because even on the off days, we doing research and talking and getting messages at 2:00 in the morning about it. People being afraid about what's happening and everything else that's happening.
Right.
Churches need to, I mean, we can talk about all the different black culture is not a monolith. Of course, we can say that. There's several different kinds of groups here in Omaha, Nebraska that I can see. This is different from any other place I ever lived. California, Hawaii, Europe, anywhere. So what I'm seeing is a whole lot of, there's the big general separations. Middle class blacks. There's, what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's all these different kinds of black folks. There's and a bunch of different organizations that have different focuses for different groups. And everybody trying to find some solidarity.
Right. Because teamwork got to make the dream work, man. I'm trying to tell y'all. I didn't just say that was a theme just arbitrarily. Like, that's what it felt like needed to be the theme. That's what I was told was the theme. And it's becoming clearer and clearer. As things get crazier and crazier outside, the need for solidarity, the need for community, the need for, coming together is more and more evident. And, I hear what you're saying, Brother Tony Johnson. Thank you. He says, with all due respect, other media groups might slow you down. Look at their product, Fresh Sky, on different and advanced level. And,
that's why we made our own.
Right. But that still doesn't mean that we don't try to, acknowledge or do what we can to uplift others while we can.
One of the big problems I see here is that it's always that, I ain't messing with them. I'm going to do my thing. Who all over there? You going to come over and work with us? Well, who all over there first? There's all kinds of personal things going on in the city all the time. It's too close-knit of a community to not have some personal beefs happening with people and so on and so forth. We got to rise up above that, because we got to collaborate. We got to get with everybody on everything. We got to get with them, not selling out to get with them, not going back on our authenticity or anything like that to get with them. But there is a way to figure out how to work together without expecting the world. I mean, what are we going to do? And that's just the way that we've always operated. Sorry, I dug into the chat there. That's the way that
what you reading? Just go ahead and read it.
Brother Knight saying, if you really stand for black people, you're not accepted by most whites, especially not in this state. I agree, but I'm not trying. We're not talking about we're not talking about being accepted. I don't care nothing about being accepted. Number one, we're here to try to do something,
right? And how do we get it done?
How do we get it done? I might call my cousin up to help me work a t-shirt business I got or something like that. Now, he may not have no art skills to put the art on the shirt, but he sure can fold the shirt up. I might just use him for the fold part or the delivery or whatever else. We all these organizations can't be all things to everybody. We got to try to figure out what pieces fit together and work together, and with everybody keeping their own integrity about it.
Right. That's the whole part about, why we love having the senators on, the dynamic duo, the brothers on.
Accountability. Wanda Lewis says exactly. Exactly. All right. So yes, go back into the chat. Go back and check it out. It's 8:45 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, I told you this is gonna be a heavy one for sure.
But it flew by. Like this show flew by.
Because there's a lot of discussion that needs to be had. We haven't had this straight out. Like I said, we've been doing this 2 years now, and every time we say anything about the big suits, everybody chimes in. What are they doing? They ain't doing nothing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we've been hearing this for a little minute now. We got to go ahead and open that up open it up, have a conversation, and invite and do what we do. Invite the brothers on so they can answer for themselves. Figure out how we can hold. There's some accountability that can be held, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's all we can really do. Come to some kind of understanding and figure out how we can work together. Terry Crawford said exactly my point. We don't have the luxury to beef with each other in public, but you can meet at the house and talk. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do right now. That's what we're doing. That was my point of today. That's my point of what I wanted to do with this. We got to do it. Like I said, where I started from, sitting in the studio, hearing that the big suits don't ever come down here and ask us what's going on or help do anything on boots on the ground. All right. What are they doing though? Are they doing something to help are they doing something to help fund what the street that your business is on? Because somebody needs to do that too. Somebody needs to worry about paving over the potholes in front of your studio. Yes, they're not down here talking to the gang youth, but they're working on some bigger stuff, the infrastructure, the internet that goes to your studio. So I don't know. One of Lewis says if they can't be everything to everybody, then they shouldn't be trying to include everybody. They shouldn't be trying to include everybody. Okay.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that comment.
They shouldn't be trying. Who do you mean who they shouldn't be trying to include? I feel like if they can't be everything to everybody, they should be working with other people with
right
focuses.
But she says they want to put their hands in everybody's pot.
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
And like I said, I do feel a little bit of somebody said earlier about the gatekeeper thing. I do feel a little bit like, well, if you're gonna come work with us, then come through our program and come this and come do. I feel a little bit like that sometimes, but I mean that's just from my observation. It's never been that way when it comes to the conversations that I've had about us. Anything that First Sky or Mind and Soul was gonna do. That's never been a thing. Like, well, if you're gonna work with us, you got to come over here and do this. Come to church and go through the program, and so I mean, they ain't never approached us with that. So I don't know. But Tony Johnson says too much energy wasted on them. Do for self. They know where to find y'all. That's what we've been doing, and they do know where to find us, and that's why they've approached us. That's why we've had the conversations that we've had.
Yeah. Again, it's not like they're avoiding coming on the show. We just haven't set it up. We haven't put in effort to say, hey, let's do the X, Y, and Z dates. And
to be honest, it's because I be trying to have respect with anybody black in the community at all. If all the feedback we ever get is they're a bunch of people sabotaging us and ain't done nothing, or what are they doing with all this money and so on and so forth, then I say we should talk about that energy before we bring them on. Which is what this is. Not so that we don't question them. I'm just saying, like, let's get our thoughts together first and get what are we really asking for? I'm asking for some proof, not just some anecdotal, well, everything looks the same, what have you been doing? I would never want to be approached that way. Paul, everything we ain't got one more voter out here than we had when y'all started this show 2 years ago. What have y'all been doing? Don't come at me with that kind of question. I don't want that. So I'm just saying, I want to get some real conversational situations happening and bring them on and ask and have a real conversation with understanding that we're gonna find out what they have to say about it. Or they're gonna show us the proof or whatever. Because right now it's just a bunch of stuff that we're talking about with no receipts. So that's what this is for me, is for us to try to get that conversation straight and be fair when somebody comes on. Because the whole tenet of First Sky Omaha is to start with respect.
Right.
And in a spirit of collaboration, not competition. He said, but y'all ain't gatekeeping voter registrations. Who's doing that? Stuart Knight says, I got to show the people to prove the people wrong if the people are wrong. Yeah.
I mean, but we got to give the people, got to give the opportunity to show. And, we come with the benefit of the doubt, that the expectation that you will prove. We're coming with you're innocent until proven guilty. That's the mentality, is you're innocent until, and we hear y'all. and we kind of, have our feelings as well. But
Right.
again, where's the proof? That might just be our feelings. We could be wrong. That's a possibility.
We know we got a lot of friends and family that are in the churches and stuff like that. These people are connected to as well. If we went and talk to them, what would they have to say about what they doing? What you know what I'm saying? Let's bring on Pastor P and find out what she's thinking about that too. I've seen her work with the Empowerment Network. I've seen her work with Willie Barney at least. Let's see what we can't. I have a feeling that we don't have a whole lot of the church community here on our show, but we can't deny that that's not a major part of this black community.
Right. I mean, Pastor P, she's commented on the show, a few times before, and we give shout out, and she's doing things and has events like, yeah.
First time I talked to Senator Blood and then was over at her event. She brought on some of the senators and stuff like that too. So I mean, like, she's in the community talking. She's in the community talking about stuff. Tony Johnson said, "Bring them all. I got questions ready." All right, cool.
There you go.
As long as we're respectful with the questions, as long as we actual questions. The difference between being accusatory when you're talking to somebody and it's a difference. You know what it is. You know how you want to be approached about what people need to hold you accountable for. That's what I'm talking about. I'm thinking if somebody came on my show trying to hold me accountable for something, how would they approach me? Well, that's what's got me trying to change my language up a little bit about what I'm saying about it. Lewis says Juneteenth, Freedomtainment, Native Omaha, Christmas in the Village, etc. At the expense of turnback tax or whatever funding comes through North Omaha, they are sitting at the table to get a piece of it. Give others a chance sometime. There's, you know how much money there is out there? I mean, if they do all that stuff, doesn't mean that there ain't no that everything else is gonna get left out.
And is it their fault that North Omaha is only given, one $50,000 grant to for these organizations? They're scraps to begin with. How
many years did we go fighting over $20,000 grants with thinking that we were fighting with other organizations over that? I'm like, we weren't doing that. We were just they were. There's a ton of money out there. And when somebody gets something and doing something, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else is not getting it. Most people, most organizations and individuals out here aren't getting it because they ain't ready to get it. Our business ain't ready to get it. Mm-hmm. We working towards that. Von Chapman says, what's actually changed? Wanda Lewis says, that should tell you something right there. Maybe, it may. But listen, to wrap up, because we literally got 6 minutes before the show's done. I really want to just say, my whole purpose is that there's a lot of people in our community, and everybody claims to want to lift up the black community, and everybody has efforts and focuses where they do. And I would like to start with giving people the benefit of the doubt on them focuses and find out what's going on with them and hold them accountable. If they are doing what they say they're doing, cool. If not, I'll definitely speak up on that. And we'll align ourselves with the people that are trying to be authentically doing things out here. And we won't align ourselves with people that aren't. And maybe we're the only ones that are really having deep asking the deep questions and having some deep discussions and spending time on those discussions to figure it out. But we always going to come with respect, and we always going to come with benefit of the doubt. When it comes to black folks, I don't care who's what. Look, I understand all skin folk ain't your kin folk. Trust me. But we going to come first with the benefit of the doubt, because who is giving any black organizations benefit of the doubt first and foremost? Who's doing that? We all know. I don't care if you put a suit on or not. Like Story of OJ. Just think of that song, because I don't care. They black too, struggling. Some of them may be, some of them may not be. Some of them may be in cahoots with organizations or the local government that is working against us. We gonna find out. We'll definitely try to find out. More to check out in the chat. Most definitely check that out. I really appreciate everybody who bore with us today. We kind of had a free day because we had no guests, so we decided to jump into having a little family meeting, a little family discussion, and we appreciate everybody that is joined in on that. Take everything you guys say to heart. I'm definitely gonna reread all the comments again myself, so that we can really kind of dig deep on some of these things. So yeah, please think about those. Get your questions together for those for when we do invite these people on and can talk about what's happening here. And again, in the spirit of let's figure out how we can collaborate and both do good for the Black community, which is what we're here to do in the first place. I didn't really understand what Willie Hamilton was doing for a long time with Black Men United until I got to talk to him and met him and had him on the show at one point. And now we kind of see the work they're doing. They also get a whole bunch of money that sometimes doesn't seem to trickle down to anybody else. So still, but he's willing to have a conversation to be held accountable and everything else too. I learned a little bit more about Willie Hamilton than I knew. I mean, I'm sorry, yeah, Willie Hamilton. So yeah, so we can move on with this. When I remember I just had a flashback. I first got in town. They were asking me to come join the 100 Black Men. And I went to, I was kind of looking at that organization. It was around the time I think Tim Clark was in, and I can't remember who the president was, but I was a little bit just like, well, what are they? I still don't have the question. What are they doing exactly? I guess I don't quite know. But I got introduced to them because I was playing in a band that played at their banquets, at their $100 plate banquets. I was like, okay, they're raising a lot of money here. Where's it going? What's going on with it? Do I have time to be worrying about that too much, or do I need to just go raise my own money and do what we're trying to do?
That part.
That part.
That part.
What are you thinking, buddy? To wrap up,
teamwork makes the dream work, man. Teamwork makes the dream work, and whoever ain't on the team, that's their fault. Because as long as the team is working, the dream is gonna work, and whoever is against it is just in the way.
There you go. Wanda Lou said Black Men United fed people and host job training. Right. They also get a lot of money to do so. So anyway, we definitely got to wrap up. 2 minutes left in the show. Again, thank you very much. We will pick up some of this conversation in future shows for sure. Not to this extent, I'm sure, unless we need to. So we'll see. I really appreciate it. What did Buddy said it? That's right, man. Teamwork makes the dream work, and if the dream ain't working, it's because you on the, what'd you say? You're in the wrong.
What did Buddy say? I said teamwork makes the dream work, man, and as long as the team is working, the dream is gonna work, and if you ain't on the team, then you just in the way.
There it is, the diatribe. I was thinking that we're gonna get a diatribe.
It came.
Thank you, Gwen Easter. We would definitely go back and look at your comment for sure. We appreciate you having so much to say there about it. Wanda Lewis says you can see what some organizations are doing. Yes, Wanda Lewis, I appreciate you being part of this conversation too, because a lot of my eyes got opened about what people are doing from conversations with you in particular. So I appreciate that, and you've always brought me the receipts. You always showed me really what's happening with a lot of stuff, which has shaped my opinion about a lot of organizations and stuff like that. But we got to revisit. We got to revisit because we, like Buddy said in this, that Preston Love Jr. put some respect on his name, said, it's a deja vu all over again. We about to be in a war. We in a war. We got to get together. Tony Johnson 12 says, sounds like we need a weekly meetup at Scooters. We used to do that every week at in the Mind and Soul days, bro. We used to do that every single week at what we call the headquarters, Scooters on 30th and Ames. Have a discussion. So maybe we can get it going again. Maybe.
I mean, we kind of do every Wednesday. Timber Snipes. What's
That's
good
right.
in the hood? So yeah. But really quickly, just after glancing at what Sister Gwen Easter said, she's kind of giving a receipt about some efforts that she was personally involved in that was doing some good in the hood. That was stopped by some individuals that we've been talking about throughout the show. So I definitely urge you to go back and speak to her, read through her comment and kind of get her her take on the situation. So.
Yeah.
Again, we just wanted to get on the same page as a community, as a family, and we will continue to do that because that's the only way that the team is going to work. is with all of us being on the same page. But no, it's all right, Sister Gwen. It's very legible. So I follow. I'm picking up what you're putting down. So we appreciate you for always putting your measure forth as always. Again, conversation rules the nation, man. We definitely appreciate everybody who's partaking in the conversation. Again, letting your mind be free. Most importantly, letting your voice be heard. That's what we're here for. So let's try to get down to the bottom of it and keep the thing, keep it in mind, keep it front of mind. As far as it's a war outside, man. There are people who are looking to do dastardly deeds on this earth. There are people who are actually looking out for self. But again, the only way that any of this is going to work is together. So,
Word up. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us again. Shout out to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Shout out to our elders for allowing us to speak before them. Shout out to you, the chat chimers, for allowing us to speak with you, and the wisdom and intelligence that you bring to the conversation and everything else, and all the things that I personally learned from. Really appreciate you guys joining us and letting us know what's happening. Thanks. I want you guys to take care of yourself this week. The weather's supposed to get a little bit better, so we might have some better attitudes happening outside. Of course, when it warms up, we also get a bunch of foolishness happening sometimes too. So watch your kids, all that good stuff. Yeah, that part. So really appreciate everybody. Again, I highly encourage you to go back and watch this show in its entirety and check out the chats when you do, because the chats is really where it's going down. Can't wait to read what Miss Easter is talking about here. So definitely we'll check it out. So I appreciate everything that you guys, all the efforts that you guys are bringing to us. In the season 6, which is coming up here pretty soon, is going to be way more about action, boots to the roots, feet on the ground, meeting up and trying to make some things happen. So maybe we'd turn Scooters back into that headquarters to do that. But in the meantime, between time, we gonna get our language straight, so we have the language that we all can use to go fight the battles. And then actually go really make some moves here coming up season 6. So thank you very much for everybody who's a part of that and a part of our efforts. I'm glad that you guys let me know that you think that this is important. We're doing a lot of discussing, but a lot of times people, there's a lot of people out there that don't think that discussion makes any difference. It helps anything. We think that the conversation rules the nation, and you can't do anything until we have these conversations and get on the same page and be able to communicate and talk to each other. That's what happens before you start working together, and that's what happens before you start taking any action. So we're doing the first Sky stuff, the preliminary, the roots, looking eye to eye and having the conversation. Second Sky might be us, us reaching some higher levels on making some change happen. So first we discuss, second we act. So let's figure it out. Thank you. Marianne Williams says, really informative and thought-provoking show today. Have a great day. Appreciate you very much. Tony Johnson says, knowledge is key. Application of knowledge is critical for real.
Sir.
Appreciate that. Stacey Jean says, great show. Thank you. Miss Erica Phil says, thank you for the homework assignment. So much conversation about 360. I need to do homework. You're always valuable to my day. Drink water, direct your funds, keep your health, be good to yourselves. Appreciate that very much. Wanda Lewis said, my kind of show. I love it. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Brother Knight, I want to say, Brother Knight, if you're still here, I forgot to give you a call. I definitely want to get your book still. So I'm going to take you up on that offer to meet up and get your book. I want to definitely check that out. So I apologize for forgetting that. Also, my car was down up until last night. So now I'm mobile again. So let's get together. But anyway, from there on, man, just want to say thank you very much again. And we'll be joining you again Wednesday, where we're going to hear extensively from Kimra Snipes, who's going to be over at the headquarters, I'm quite sure. And Precious McKesson, 2 very important leaders in our community, and put some respect on their names. And most def just ask, ask the questions that we need to ask. Get your questions ready for them as well. Maybe we can continue that conversation. They've also had some dealings with some of these organizations that we are talking about. So can't wait to hear what they have to say about those things, about those things too, about this subject as well. So appreciate you giving us the space to be able to have these kinds of conversations, and we'll continue to do so.
Sister Gweneser says, I've forgiven a lot of, I think, people or a lot of something with help of God. Unfortunately, my orange business continues to get blackballed by some organizations and individuals. However, we are still here. Again, man, teamwork is going to make the dream work, and they just in the way. I love oranges. Let me know what's going on with your orange business. I love oranges. Like I break my fast with 2 oranges every day.
Bro, I'm from California. I keep a bag. I got to keep a bag of sun-kissed around just for the sun-kissed is the blood.
I mean, we talked about how Florida is my second home. You know what I mean? So, yeah,
There you go.
We'll tap in. I might have some resources for you, Sister Gwen.
All right, Brother Knight, I see you. I might do that iBook situation too, but I'll get with you.
Okay.
Appreciate that very much.
I think he has some copies available at the African American bookstore too.
No, he said there wasn't no more there. That's why he wanted me to call him.
Okay, yeah, that's where I got mine.
I need that hard copy though for the library, so you know how I do it. She said she meant organizations.
Okay,
that's what's up. Thank you very much, you guys. Really appreciate it. We won't keep you any longer here. We'll join us on Wednesday, and we'll get back to it. In the meantime, between time,
peace.
By the way, Vanglorious. This is protected by the red